Lesson 128. What part is missing? Today, with this lesson, we are going to be subtracting probabilities. Some questions for us to think about and to kind of focus our work today are how can our probabilities be combined and how can the answer be written or rewritten in a different form? Our first problem that we're going to go over together is Lindsay has a paper bag full of Fruity Tooty Chews in 3 different fruit flavors. She says, if you reach into the bag, you have a 1/3 chance of pulling out a killer kiwi. There is a 3/5 chance that you will get a crazy coconut. So if you reach into the bag, what is the probability you're going to be getting a coconut or a kiwi? As we did in our lesson before, the first thing we're going to be doing is combining these fractions, these probabilities that are written in fractions. I'm going to get the information from our problem information. And we have a situation where we are trying to add fractions with unlike denominators. When I look at these two denominators, I'm really seeing the number 15 in my head as the best common denominator for this situation that we're in right here. And to move from 3 to 15, I multiply the denominator by 5. So I multiply the numerator by 5, and I get 1 times 5 is 5. To move from 5 to 15 using multiplication, I am going to multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply the numerator by 3 as well, and I get 9. Let me rewrite that denominator a little bit more accurately there. All right, so we have 5 plus 9 is 14, and our denominators just stay the same. So the probability that we are going to get coconut or kiwi is 14 out of 15. Does there need to be another flavor in the bag? I'm going to go with yes. And how can I tell? Because if I do 1, I change that into a giant 1 that's going to work with my part that I already know, and I subtract what I already know from the whole number 1, I end up with 1/15 less left. So 1/15 tells me that there's something else. And if I assume that there's only one other flavor, what is the probability of getting that other flavor? Well, the probability is going to be 1/15. So we're going to put P of getting other flavor is 1 equals 1/15. How many candies might Lindsay have in the bag? Well, we know for sure she has 15. But we could also think about what we've done in our previous lessons, and as long as we have a multiple of 15, we could have if it is a multiple of 15, we could have more than 15. So we could have 15 or 30 or 45 or 60 or 75 or 90, or we could just keep moving on. So there's that one. And our last problem that I'm going to go over with you today is problem 1-133. A person named Louise is playing a game, but the spinner is incomplete. Each section of the spinner is labeled with a probability of spinning it. What fraction is missing? And as I'm looking at this, I'm going to pull all my fractions that I know out of my spinner. So I have a region that's 1/3, and a region that is 1/6, and a region that is 2/5. I'm going to add all these up, and I'm going to see what I end up getting. When I'm looking at these numbers that are in the denominator position, a number that comes into my head right away is the number 30. So I'm going to change all of these fractions so that they have the denominator of 30. I'm just changing their name. I'm not changing their value. So when I multiply 3 times 10, I get 30. So I'm going to multiply 1 times 10 and get 10. 5 times 6 gives me 30. So 1 times 5 gives me 5. 5 times 6 gives me 30. So I'm going to do 2 times 6 and get 12. Just double check the math here. Looks like I did it right. 10 plus 5 is 15. 15 plus 12 equals 27. 27/30ths. And I know that my whole spinner is 100%. Another way we can write it is 30/30 as our fraction that's equivalent to the number 1. And if I subtract what I know down here, 30 subtract 27 gives me 3/30. And I like to simplify that down, and I know that I can divide each of the numerator and denominator that are in this answer here. I can divide them each by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 30 divided by 3 gives me 10. So the fraction that is missing, this fraction here, is 1/10. I'll write it over here too. All right, now go ahead and move on to your independent practice.